Hello, and welcome to Direct Approach with Wayne Moorehead, an exclusive podcast by DSN where Wayne shares candid and insightful conversations with leading corporate executives about today's evolving direct sales channel. In today's episode, Wayne is joined by Kody Bateman, founder and chief visionary officer of Promptings, formerly known as SendOutCards. Kody founded SendOutCards in 2006 to encourage people to stay in touch with one another. The concept quickly caught on, and today his systems have been used by more than 1 million people, with over 200 million greeting cards and 13 million gifts sent. In 2022, the company announced its rebrand as Promptings Powered by SendOutCards to align with Kody's foundational prompting process philosophy. The rebranding is part of his mission to bring the world together by encouraging people to act on their promptings to create genuine human connections. In this episode, Kody talks about the pivotal story behind the company and what led to the rebranding. He discusses the importance of defining your mission and how it affects both distributors and customers, and shares why he believes community has become such a strong focal point in direct selling. He and Wayne also look at how direct selling channel uses community as a differentiator. Kody also shares what he's learned about the importance of depth in achieving longevity and why it's more challenging but crucial to create genuine human connections in a digital world. Finally, he offers tips for introducing personal development to your field in natural ways to strengthen community and your culture. Please welcome your host, Wayne Moorehead, and today's guest, Kody Bateman, founder and chief visionary officer of Promptings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I am your host, Wayne Moorehead, and today I am joined by a multifaceted, multi-talented leader. He's a founder, CEO, author, speaker, podcaster, relationship marketing expert, and so much more. I'm talking about founder and chief visionary officer of Promptings, the company formerly known as SendOutCards, Mr. Kody Bateman. Kody, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks, Wayne. Appreciate you having me. Like I said before, it's an honor to be on your show. I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you. Again, we've all been following your company and your career for a lot of years, and we're excited to hear a lot more and dig in deep about what you're up to today. Now, I studied advertising and marketing in college. That was my major. And so I was really excited to see that you started out as an ad man there in NYC. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about the journey that led you from advertising into direct selling.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. When I, out of college, I did an internship in New York City, the big, that's the big state, big ad agencies there. And after the internship, they offered me a job. So I went out there. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just fresh out of college, and I worked at McCann Erickson, and we worked on big accounts. We worked on, I can't believe it's not butter, and Promise Margarine accounts were the ones I worked on. And I was just completely out of my element. It was just such big corporate stuff. I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot there about branding and different things, but it was more, that big picture brand advertising, big budget brand advertising, which, I learned fundamentals there, but I never really resonated with it. I always resonated more with the direct selling approach. Back then, it was like anything that I could put an 800 number on and have somebody call in direct to try to buy a product. That's what resonated better with me. And so that's what kind of took me out of New York and into other opportunities. So,
well, that's exciting. Well, I'm glad you found your way into direct selling from the really broad traditional advertising. And I know McCann well. There's an office here in Salt Lake, I think, as you probably know. So I've known a lot of people that have been in and out of McCann, and they do great work. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned right before we started recording, all of us on the channel are really familiar with SendOutCards. And it's interesting that after almost 20 years of operating under SendOutCards, you've now rebranded and kind of renamed into the company called Promptings. Can you share a little bit about the catalyst that led to this evolution of this positioning, naming, and messaging?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. It's when we started SendOutCards, it was way back in 2003, 2004. And back then, we didn't have the social media like we have today. And so everything was different when we started, and back then when we first rolled out, we were really, a true connection tool, a communication tool for businesses, because you didn't have social media. So card sending was a big thing. It was, if there's an automated way to send cards to people, it's a great connection tool. And without any of the other stuff, people migrated to us because we were SendOutCards. So we always headlined our opportunity with SendOutCards, because back then sending cards was a primary way of connecting. And but that was never the reason that I started the company. I started the company to help people act on their promptings. And of course, I have my prompting story. I lost a brother. I tell the story that went over to say bye to my parents one day when we were moving away from home. In fact, we were moving to New York City to take this job. And when we left my parents' home, my older brother, Chris, was over in a lot adjacent to my parents' home, and he was moving some vehicles around. And at that moment, I had what I call a prompting to go over and say goodbye to him, tell him I love him, say goodbye. And I ignored it. I jumped in the car, we were in a hurry, and we took off. I honked and waved at him. He waved at me, and we drove off all the way across the country. And 2 or 3 months later, I get a phone call from my mom telling me that my brother Chris had been killed in an accident. So when I got that news, the only thing I could think of is that I ignored a prompting to say bye to my brother, never had the chance to do it again. So I made a promise to him that night that when I had promptings to reach out in kindness to others, I would act. And I would do all I can to help as many people as I can do the same. And that's always been my story. That is the story and the compelling why behind starting SendOutCards. So SendOutCards was designed to help people act on their promptings. It was a mechanism that you could take a prompting, an intuitive thought to thank somebody or appreciate somebody, type it into a greeting card, push the send button, and through the internet, we would print it, stuff it, stamp it, and mail it out for you. That was always the notion. So yeah, we headlined as SendOutCards, a communication tool, but the why behind it was to act on prompting. So the prompting story has always been in our community. It's been a big part of our community. So within SendOutCards, changing to promptings is not really that big of a deal. In fact, it makes more sense to most people. Outside of our community, where the marketplace knows of SendOutCards, it probably is a big question mark. Why did we do this? So,
sure. Well, I'm so sorry to learn about your brother, but I also think the other side of that coin is how something so tragic really became such a powerful purpose for you with your job, with your life's mission. And it is interesting how those events, while so painful and again so tragic, can really be the catalyst that can really change and impact so many other lives.
Yeah. In fact, that was in 1989. We started SendOutCards in 2003, and we're about 210 million greeting cards later, and 12 million gifts around the world. So it's pretty special, and we feel like we've just started. We still feel like we're just around 20 years, but we still feel like we're just scratching the surface. It's a product and mission that people need. And to go back to your question, one of the reasons we're shifting to promptings is we feel that headlining promptings now in the story is really conducive to what the marketplace needs today. I mean, we live in a very decisive world today. We live in a world of separation and discontent and disconnection, and people are not liking each other, and it's just crazy out there. And we have a way to bring people back together again. So we really want to make that the headline. We're here to help you act on your promptings to reach out in kindness to others, because the world needs it. The world needs that kindness. So it's become much more mission centric than it ever has.
Absolutely. I think that is such a beautiful idea. And I love how you've turned this idea of promptings into a platform for the entire company that really is driven by your purpose, but also informs your product offering, also informs how you communicate, how you message, what your product ultimately does. It ladders up to something so much higher than that card. But back to that connection that you mentioned earlier. I think that going through a rebrand and a refresh, I've been on the brand side going through it. I've also been on the agency side, helping as kind of an outside lens to help other companies do that. I know firsthand it is no small undertaking. It's no small feat. I'm curious, what advice would you give to other companies, other executives who are considering, rethinking and repositioning, renaming their brand? When to do it, what to do, what not to do? What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from this rebrand?
I think the biggest thing is you got to have a big enough why to do it. And I know that sounds cliche because everybody says you got to have a big why and whatever, but it's really the truth. You have to have a big enough why to rebrand because it's not easy. It is not easy. It's hard. There's so many temptations to bag it. It's like, you get halfway into it and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about this and this and this and this. Should we really be doing this? So you start to second guess yourself. You got to have a big enough why to keep you in the deal. And you got to stay committed to it. And it's a risk. Let's face it, it's risky to do. Everything in business is somewhat of a gamble. This is certainly a gamble that you take. People have been used to SendOutCards for years. And by the way, we're keeping the SendOutCards brand alive, but the primary company is Promptings, powered by SendOutCards. And we're just going to allow the Promptings brand to kind of naturally take over, which it's already doing. So we didn't really we didn't like scratch SendOutCards and got rid of it and just started Promptings. We thought that would be too extreme. So we're kind of Promptings powered by SendOutCards. So there's still a little bit of a double branding, but as we go, the Promptings brand is getting stronger and stronger, and the SendOutCards brand's kind of naturally waning. So I think that's probably the best advice I could give. It's worked for us. The other piece is just, man, stay the course because it's not easy. And, so those are probably the main things.
Well, I think those are great insights. I love that you're basing it on a why, that it's not just something to do for its own sake. It's not just window dressing, but there really is a strategic reason why. So I'm excited to see you in a few weeks at DSU. I'm really excited. When I saw the title of your speech, which is Branding Your Authentic Mission, I'm like, man, I got to make sure I'm out front of house there taking great notes. Can you share a little bit about what that means to you and how you're going about doing that?
Well, if you go back to, it's kind of funny. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to communicate that to my peers, other company owners, CEOs that are in this channel of ours. And a lot of them are selling incredible products of different nature. So my product line's a little bit different than most product lines are in this channel. So I'm still trying to figure out how am I going to do this to where they can resonate or relate to what I'm saying. Because my product is so mission centric, this subject makes sense to us, branding your authentic mission. In a way, we've always branded our authentic mission because once you got into SendOutCards in the olden days, I used to say all the time, I'm going to bring you in based on what you want from me. And then once you're in my community, I'm going to inspire you on what you need from me. What you want from me is a greeting card follow-up system. What you need from me is a way to act on your promptings. So now when we did the rebrand of Promptings, we just kind of shifted it. We're looking for the perfect customer avatar that is not necessarily looking for a follow-up system. They're actually looking for a way to act on promptings. So we're kind of going after a totally different customer avatar to kind of meet my mission, if you will. So, branding your authentic, the only way to do that is to brand your authentic mission. And we are literally branding our authentic mission, which is acting on promptings. So, it seemed to be a natural fit for me. So it's kind of helping me to do this interview right now because I got to figure out how I'm going to actually communicate that to my peers. So,
well, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear more about it. And I'm in the same boat. I'm still working on my on my speech that I'm going to be delivering there at DSU as well. But I love that you are so focused on mission. In many companies, regardless of channel, regardless of category, I feel like that idea of mission kind of gets tossed around, maybe inauthentically. It gets, fast and loose with mission. Here's what it is. And then people move on. But you've really built your entire company, your entire product offering around that. And I know that that's what makes those really deep emotional connections with your consumers and brand partners. Another thing in learning more about you that I discovered was how important community is to your company and to your company's mission. What are some of the ways that you feel that you're helping to build community into Promptings and into SendOutCards?
Well, something that we've always done, even from the very beginning back in 2003, 4, is I, and as top leaders would come into our organization, they would assist me with this, but we've always conducted full day seminars about promptings, come and learn about promptings. We called it different things through the years, but in fact, I have one coming up this Saturday, the prompting seminar, and we've conducted that seminar all over the world, probably 300 plus events over the last 18 years, thousands and thousands of people, but it became part of our community. It's just something everybody build up to, is to go. And the prompting seminar it's personal development all the way. I mean, it's the promptings way to a personal development plan. It's following your inner voice that guides you to your own personal development plan to create, to manifest your desires and goals in life. And we've been conducting that for 20 plus years. So we've always been known as a strong personal development entity, if you will. And that's really helped us create that community. We do weekly affiliate calls, have done forever, still do the weekly calls. There's always a personal development piece in the weekly call. I mean, our weekly calls or Zooms now consist of traditional things, rank advancements, announcements, different things going on with the company. But we always have an element of personal development in everything we do. And so I think that's been our stronghold on creating community. Plus, I've got the story. I mean, the story about ignoring a prompting, finding a way to act on promptings. We always have people share their prompting stories. So it's kind of easy for us to create community because everything's built. Because I tell them my prompting stories, but then I say now, life is a collection of stories. And if you act on your promptings, you will collect some inspirational stories for your life. So now when customers and affiliates come into our community events, they're telling their stories. So it's pretty simple for us to do.
I love that you've put such a focus on community. And as I talk to leaders on the channel, such as yourself, it seems that that's becoming more and more of a focus. We always knew that it was an important element to direct selling, an important element to most companies is creating this tribe, this community of people that are anchored by shared values, shared needs, wants, and desires. And I think it's interesting, again, in talking to other leaders, that we're all looking at community as becoming more and more of one of our key differentiators. That as other quote unquote channels start using affiliate programs and multi-tiered commission structures, that really our differentiator now, people can find great products, other places. If we're being honest, ours might be different, ours might be better, but with innovation, within 18 or 24 months, someone else has the potential to come up to where we are or potentially leapfrog us. But one thing that we've always done and need to continue to put more and more focus on is that idea of community. So I love that you're really leading out with that. And I'm curious. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I tell you, I think it's critical because in the quote unquote gig economy that we're all dealing with now, all you got to do is get up in the morning and scroll social media for 5 minutes.
Sure.
If you scroll TikTok or Instagram for 5 minutes, you're going to see 50 ways that you can make extra money. Mm-hmm. But most of those, it's that social media approach where they have a way to reach out to a broad spectrum of people, and maybe through influencers or whatever, bring a lot of sales, in really quickly. But what they don't have is the community. And I think that people are going to more and more, like everybody's running to that right now. Everybody's running to the social media. Let's sell as many bottles of shampoo as we can through an influencer and the whole bit. And I applaud the companies that are succeeding in that, but it's very difficult. In fact, I heard it said this morning, influencer marketing through our channel. There's a lot of advantages to it. There's a lot of companies that are having a lot of success with it. And again, I applaud them. But one of the challenges is that influencer marketing through our channel, it has a tendency to allow you to create a mile of width, but an inch of depth.
Yep.
Yeah, you can bring a lot of people in quick, but where's that depth in our industry? Our profession, or our channel, as we call it, it really is the longevity of it comes from depth. I mean, regardless of what type of comp plan you have, you've got to create depth in your organization to sustain ongoing business. We all tout that we're about residual income, ongoing income. And that's one of our big selling points. Well, the only way that you get ongoing, consistent income is to have depth. You can get, the influencer, yeah, you can make a bunch fast, but you got to redo it all the time. And so we got to latch on to what our benefits are, and community and depth is a benefit of this channel. We have to latch on to that.
That's so well said. So one of the questions I've been most excited to talk to you about is, we're obviously in an increasingly digital world. 2020, 21, and 22 really helped accelerate that fact that more and more and more of our interactions with our friends, our family, our community is becoming increasingly digital. I'm curious, as you think of the physical as the tangible, what are the impact that has in our lives and in the market today? This idea of something different that is physical and tangible.
I'll tell you what, it's kind of funny you asked that question, because literally my exposure today, I've literally, like on the way into work, there was a radio show on. They were talking about digital versus tangible and what it's doing to society. And then when I got here, I had 2 phone calls. I've had that subject has come up 3 times just today.
Interesting.
So it is a part of everybody's discussion right now. Chat GPT, what's that going to do to the whole? I can't, like now, how do you know if you're reading an authentic book or not? The book may have been created by a digital creation called ChatGPT or, AI, whatever. What is real anymore? What's authentic and real? And so I do think, and again, all of us are trying to navigate through this massive technology change we're going through. None of us really know all the right answers. The only thing that I can stick to is my inner promptings, if you will, my inner voice. I believe that human connection is the most important thing that we have, and it's ultimately what will prevail. We have to create genuine human connections with other human beings, and we have to create genuine human connections with who we are as individuals. I think the challenge to social media and digital everything is it challenges that genuine human connection. It's one thing to make a comment on somebody's post. It's another thing to take the time to send someone a heartfelt message in a greeting card and attach a gift to it, because you actually really do want to connect with that person. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between doing a virtual event versus doing a live event. And we're strong advocates of live events, shoulder to shoulder, belly to belly. Now, here's the funny thing is what we're saying out there is, well, is technology going to take that over? Are we just the late adopters that are trying to stick to the old way? I don't really know the answer to that. All I know is what I know. What I know is genuine human connection is important, and a tangible aspect is very important. Getting in the same room with like-minded people is a very important thing to do. And I don't think that's ever going to change. It's like, people say all the time, yeah, this is changing everything. Well, the television did not obsolete the radio. So I don't think that this whole movement's going to obsolete the need for real physicality, real, meetings face to face, a real tangible aspect. Let's face it, I have a tangible product. Everybody's connecting today with social media and the digital world. I'm still pushing connection with a tangible touch. So I'm kind of I was the innovator up front. I was the pioneer to bring this into the marketplace. Now it feels like I'm the pioneer because I'm still over here in the tangible world, but I'm going to stay there because that's who we are.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's beautiful.
If you'd like to learn more from Kody, register to attend DSU, where he'll give a deeper dive into branding your authentic mission. Kody is one of the 35 plus DSU executive and subject matter expert presenters who want to help you next level your business by sharing their insights, strategies, and expertise. We invite you and your team to join 400 plus of your executive peers in just 3 short weeks on Wednesday, April 19th and Thursday, April 20th, 2023 in Frisco, Texas. DSU has 35 plus speakers, and 20 of them being first time to the DSU stage. 400 plus executives have already registered, representing more than 125 direct selling companies. Visit DSU 2023 to see the full list. We also have 4 Power Pack panels and a 2-hour bonus digital selling workshop and live Q&A, priceless networking with your executive peers, and DSU is free to all active corporate direct selling executives, thanks in part to the generosity of DSN supporter companies, premier supplier partners, and event supplier sponsors. Register today at dsu2023.com and plan to be there for all the can't-miss takeaways and moments on and off stage. Now, a word from our sponsor. DSN is honored to be supported by industry suppliers that partner with companies across the channel to help enhance, streamline, and grow their businesses. This episode is sponsored by Exego. Exego was started by a team of experts that shared a single vision: to overturn the archaic, restrictive model of housing data and create an entirely new kind of platform from the ground up. From your first dollar to your billionth and beyond, Exego's platform scales in lockstep with your global growth, aspirations, and vision. With clients in 120 countries, supporting 40 currencies and 30 languages, plus over 200 open APIs and SDKs, they empower an existing tech team to control their own best-in-class solution vision. To connect and learn more, visit exego.com. That is EXIGO.com. Now let's get back to the interview with Kody Bateman, founder and chief visionary officer of Promptings.
And human connection is something that we've lost along the way here as technology's increased, and we were literally kind of forced to have most of those connections be more in the digital world. But it's something that we need so incredibly bad. And it has been one of the superpowers, I think, of the channel is that human connection. And I'm so glad that there are these products and companies out there that are really helping to remind us and maybe even reintroduce us to that human fact of how important these physical and very personal connections are. And I love that you talked about events. You know, we all thought we found the Holy Grail with Zoom and virtual events, and let's say budget and time and money, and they just fall flat in so many areas. They definitely can serve us in some ways when we're just going for reach. But back to your point on depth, as we need to go deeper in our relationships with customers, with distributors, those human connections become increasingly important, and those physical and tangible. So you talked about the category that you work in now, and you were a pioneer. You're continuing to be a pioneer. I'm curious how you're looking at competing today in this digital world, in the gig economy, with all this fierce digital kind of e-commerce competition. How are you looking at standing out and really competing with those others?
That's the very reason we rebranded. It's the very reason we have to stick to our story, authentic mission. That's why I've been asked to speak at your event on, branding your authentic mission. I think that is the way to do that. It's the only way we survive. Because let's face it, again, when SendOutCards started in 2003-4, we were a communication connection tool. Today, there's 1,000 communication connection tools, and the whole world's migrating to digital ways of connecting and whatnot. So more and more, we have to focus on what our mission is versus what people think the tool might do for them. So it's mission that's gonna keep us significant. Let's face it. When I started digital variable print on demand greeting cards over the internet, I was one of the first companies to ever do it. American Greetings, a big retail greeting card company, they were trying to do it when I launched, and they spent millions of dollars trying to do it. And they ended up scrapping the program a few years later. The reason that I succeeded at it, I think a big reason, is I chose our channel, because American Greetings, they went out and they tried to advertise, this is in 2001, 2, 3. They're trying to advertise that you can send a card over the computer. Well, back then, everybody went to the store and bought a card, so they couldn't resonate with that. So I learned early on, if I can get a whole bunch of people to sit with somebody next to a computer and show them how to send a card, that's how we can succeed at pioneering this movement. And that's how we did it. And so, we came in, and pioneered that space. Well, now, I've introduced the concept. There's 100 knockoffs of us now. I mean, there's digital print on demand greeting cards anywhere you can imagine. They're all over the place. And their whole concept is follow-up system, connection tool, variable print, based on pricing, who can do the big price game, whatever. Listen, I didn't start this to do that. I didn't start this to be a variable print company. I started it to help people act on the promptings. So I figured, well, if I just stay true to my mission, let everybody else go do that. I'm going to talk about acting on promptings. One of the things we do, we're big on heartfelt cards, because everybody wants automation. Like, you might be thinking right now, God, that'd be cool to send a birthday message out to everybody I know. And it'd be really cool if the system just did it by itself. Well, we have what we call system cards that will do that for you. But by far the most effective way for you to connect with somebody on their birthday is to sit down and type a heartfelt message to them and put that in the card. So we're really big on heartfelt messages. In fact, we have unlimited heartfelt card programs for a super cheap subscription every month, stamps included. You can send as many heartfelt cards anywhere in the world for a low monthly fee. Nobody in the world does that. Nobody. Yeah. And I don't think they ever will do that. We do it because we want to help people act on their promptings. And we figure if we can get enough people to do that, then they'll use all the other services that we have. And so that's how it's worked for us.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways you definitely have stood out from your competition. In looking at some of the category, they do focus on a lot of the tactical, on a feature or a benefit. Here's the price point, here's the speed, here's this. Your focus is way different. I love that kind of when they're zigging, you're zagging. Talk a little bit more. You've kind of touched on this, but talk a little bit more about what you're ultimately selling and why you choose to focus kind of up the ladder, the value ladder, as opposed to focusing on kind of that feature and benefit product level.
And I'll tell you, I'm going to answer that question, but it is part of our challenge. What we're really selling, especially as we've rebranded, is we're selling people the power of promptings. So we're selling you a concept. The power of promptings is the concept. It's like Dr. Joseph Murphy wrote the book Power of the Subconscious Mind. He sold subconscious mind education. I'm selling the power of promptings. I'm selling promptings education. So I've got a tool to help you act on promptings. And if you do act on promptings, you get certain benefits. And I've got tools that will help you with the benefits. See, if I have what I call two kinds of promptings. The inner prompting is the inner voice that tells you who you are as a person. The outer prompting is the outer prompting to reach out to others, say thank you, appreciate you, whatever. If I simply use the mechanism to act on an outer prompting, it creates appreciation energy that comes back and ignites my inner prompting. So now I've got inner promptings and outer promptings, and I've got a flow of what I call appreciation energy going between reaching out to others and coming back into me. And we call that the promptings process. So now you're saying, okay, well, now, Kody, you're kind of wireframing this. You've got a mechanism and you got an outer prompting, and then it feeds the inner prompting. So now there's a wireframe there. And everything we do is to help you act on those outer promptings. So we have heartfelt card sends. We have system sends that do it automatically. We have a virtual assistant that will help you set up your account. Anything we can do to help you act on the outer prompting, we got for you. But when that ignites the inner voice, you have to nourish that inner voice. That's where our personal development products come in. We have what we call the Promptings Academy. Promptings Academy is where you come and learn how to nourish your inner promptings and create a personal development plan. Okay, so now I've shared with you a whole wireframe.
Yeah.
And that essentially is what we're selling. So I wrote an ebook. I create sales funnels for our reps. They can send an ebook out that tells that whole story and guides them to calls to action. So it's a monumental project for us, because we're not just selling a greeting card. We're selling a philosophy, a system with lots of products around it. And the more our affiliates, the more of those product lines that our affiliates are able to sell, the more residual income they create for them and their teams. So that's our opportunity, but it's also our challenge, because now I'm selling a philosophy, not just a bottle of shampoo. So it's a different deal. Yeah.
No, but that's actually really, I think, music to my ears as a marketer, because too often we get caught up in those features. Ours is this percent better. Ours absorbs this much faster. Our, widget does this 10 times better, but we're missing that emotional point. And I love that. And maybe it's back to your kind of advertising, background, but that you focus on the emotional benefit, not always kind of the feature, or, physical benefits, but ultimately the emotions that we need and want. And I think that's why one of the reasons you've continued to be so successful. I know everybody always invokes Apple, and I hate that I'm even doing this right now, but in so much of their advertising, it wasn't about the processing speed. It wasn't about all these other features. It was really that emotional state that an Apple product really brought you into and ultimately delivered. I think that's really powerful. I love that you're focusing there on the benefit equation as well. One of the areas that you are an amazing expert in is the idea of relationship marketing. And relationship marketing is just that. And so what are some of the ways that we can help our distributors to develop and nurture relationships? And this is kind of a two-part question. Once we've developed those relationships, what are some of the ways that we can continue to share products that we love without negatively impacting that relationship? I think that's something that our distributors talk about a lot. So I'm curious, what are some of the ways that you help your distributors, your brand partners, to share in a way that doesn't negatively impact the relationship? It only deepens that connection.
I think I can really answer that with 3 words. It's called genuine human connection. And that's what we as human beings need to focus on, no matter what profession we're in, is the desire to create genuine human connection with other human beings. And the only way that you can do that is, and I coin phrases all the time, the find out who you are, which is your inner prompting. Find out who you are, and then give yourself away. So I need to find my purpose, live on purpose, and whatever that purpose is, I need to give that away to others. And when I say give away, I mean give away. You're here to serve humanity. That's our philosophy. You're here to serve humanity. So in network marketing is a natural for that. This channel of ours, that's what I love about the channel, is it naturally puts you in a place where you can take something you're passionate about and serve humanity with it. So you might have a product line that you're very proud of, and you have your own story about how the products have changed your life. You also have a business opportunity attached to that, which can significantly impact somebody else's life. So you as a network marketer have a way to serve humanity, hopefully with something you're very passionate about. So, and again, that's why I came to the channel in the first place, because I loved that aspect of it. And that's what we need to dearly, dearly hang on to. And God bless all of the influencers out there in the world, but I just don't think you have the same level of genuine connection that this space provides with all this other digital type of marketing that we're doing today. So hopefully that answered your question. I don't know.
No, it does. Yeah. And that's another reason why Promptings and SendOutCards is so perfect for this channel.
Yeah.
Really, it probably wouldn't have been as successful had you introduced it into a different channel. It lends itself so well to that human aspect that we do so well here. I think that's really powerful. You've mentioned a couple of times personal development, and that's something that has been really important to me in my life and has been an important feature of most of the companies in the channel. I think at times, though, we struggle with how to introduce that to our brand partners. What are the best ways to help provide them personal development in a meaningful way that provides great utility, that doesn't distract necessarily from the other aspects of them building a business, but really only enhances it? I'm curious, what are some of the things that you're doing or some of the ways that you've seen personal development introduced to the field in a really natural, successful way?
I think the natural way to do it is to make a commitment as a leader. You might be a company owner, you might be a CEO, you might be a top affiliate or distributor in the field. You might be a brand new person in the field trying to build a business. Doesn't matter what level you're at. If you make a goal from day one that when you communicate, so you might do a conference call, you might hold a meeting, whatever it is, you might even do a 3-way call with somebody, just you and 2 other people, whatever it is, that you make it a goal that you always have an aspect of personal development in your message. Always, from the 3-way call to the Monday night call to the regional meeting to the convention or whatever, there's always an aspect of personal development. So, and I think if you do just that simple thing, personal development will always be a very natural thing. I mean, one of the things I do, I love to read. And so I've got this massive library of personal development books. So it's very natural for me that whatever conversation I'm having or meeting that I'm holding, I always recommend books. Man, I learned this in The Power of Positive Thinking. Man, I learned this with Dale Carnegie's book. Man, you ought to get it. I mean, it's just a habit for me to say those things. And if you're always putting that in there, people that come into your space are going to be more and more interested in what this thing called personal development is. And I think it's critical. I don't think our channel exists without it. I really don't. I think that it's so integrated. And that's what I love about our channel. In fact, I don't know how strong the personal development industry would be without network marketing,
Right?
Or how strong network marketing would be without personal development. I mean, they are intertwined for sure.
That's interesting. I love that you've been able to weave it so deeply into all aspects and all touch points of your business and not have it as this kind of bolt on that feels forced. I think that's kind of the danger, is it just feels so forced. But you have been able to integrate it so deeply into all aspects of your company. And I think that's one of the reasons it's been so successful. But I think you're right. I think personal development lends itself so well and supports direct selling. And I think vice versa. There's a pretty amazing relationship, and I'm so glad it's been such a pillar to me, but also to the entire channel. So you've talked about some of the ways that our lives are changing and the industry is changing, and we're all very aware. We're feeling it very acutely, how the direct selling channel is continuing to evolve and the landscape is continuing to shift. I'm curious what you see some of the biggest challenges are to all of us that we need to really be aware of and start tackling.
Well, I think one of the biggest areas is, 15, 20 years ago, maybe as early as 10 years ago, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, we were kind of the primary source for extra income. I mean, if you wanted a side gig, network marketing was one of the primary ways to create extra income independently of working for somebody. And obviously that's dramatically changed. In fact, it's like we've kind of lost that space. It's like now gig economy, social media, affiliate marketing, et cetera. And heck, I just saw the other day, you can go online and type reviews on somebody's product line and make $600 a day typing reviews for somebody. So there's so many ways for, and especially young people coming up, that they can just sit in their basement and dabble on a computer and make some money. That's become very challenging for our profession, at least it has for us. And the other thing I can't understand is we're so heavily regulated. We can't we can't say anything about income, no income statements, no income claims, no everything else. But you scroll social media and boy, they're all doing it. Come check this out. I'll show you how to make $10,000 next week with my affiliate marketing program. Now, I don't know if they're getting regulated or monitored or shut down or not. Doesn't seem like they are. But boy, we get letters from the FTC saying you better not say boo, or we're going to come after you. And so that's kind of the world we're living in right now. And we got to figure out how to navigate around it. I was just talking to my top distributor. He's been our number one income earner forever. We were talking about this very thing. It's like, how do I compete with those social media things that say, make $5,000 a week doing this little side gig over here, when he can't say a word about how much money he makes? And let's face it, when people, especially younger people, when they see $5,000 a week, they're going to probably pay more attention to that than they might pay to you, which, by the way, is yet another reason that we've rebranded as Promptings over here, and another reason why we're branding our authentic mission, because the mission is what saves us, not all the other claims and whatnot. So
that's interesting. I think that's a really insightful and poignant question from your distributor. When the opportunity is not the opportunity, where do we focus? How do we differentiate? How do we stand out from so many other companies that are, to some degree, maybe encroaching on our historical white space here in the channel? I think that's something that we're all wrestling with. And I love that you focused on mission. And I think community is a huge part of that as well.
Well, and also it's what I'm learning. In fact, I'm preparing my speech as we do this. That's what I'm learning, is that I have to stay very true to that plan. It's very easy to get sidetracked. All you got to do is get up in the morning and scroll social media for 10 minutes. You're going to be sidetracked. So you have to be disciplined enough to see it through. Right now, I'm still in the middle of a rebrand. I'm still in the middle of creating this, and you have to have the staying power to stick with it. And I'd like to see more and more people in the channel pursue their authentic mission and have the courage to do so, because I do think that if enough of us do it, it's going to put us in the place where we could be untouchable again. Because I don't see how influencer marketers and affiliate marketing and gig economy type of deals can create community. I don't know how you create a community in being a Uber driver. I don't, you know what I mean? So,
right.
So and hopefully, I can present this in a way to where company owners and my peers and executives in the space can see the importance of headlining authentic mission. We have to headline authentic mission, whatever it is. Listen, there's companies there that have been a lot more successful than my company over the years. So it's an honor to speak to them. But I know all of those companies are searching for ways that they can stay significant. And I think authentic mission is a big way to do that.
Absolutely. So as you've able to look back, over the last 20 or so years, again, you were involved even prior in the channel prior to developing SendOutCards and Promptings. I'm curious now, what lessons or advice would you give to some of the other executives and CEOs that are in the channel right now as you look now forward for direct selling?
Wow. Yeah. First of all, it kind of goes back to what my message has been all along, stay true to your mission. And I think one thing in our profession too, is because all of us have a business opportunity of some kind, even though we may sell completely different product lines, there is an element of competition because we all have a biz op. And of course, your affiliates or your distributors kind of add to that because they're out trying to communicate that their deal might be better than somebody else's deal, or my comp plan might be better than your comp plan. Come join us. I think the one thing that's important that we as business owners in this space is we've got to create integrity within our organizations. I believe this strongly. I don't think you should ever buy into the concept that you want to go and seek out affiliate partners and customers from one of your competitors or somebody else's business, or that, there's a big line over here that's disgruntled and we can move the whole line over. And of course, affiliates will drag you into that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that we stay true and just not allow those things to happen. I think that all of us work really hard to create our own product lines, our own communities, our own things, and all of us do. Every single one of us work really hard to do that. We need to protect each other. We need to have each other's back, because again, the biggest challenge that I see in the channel is that people have a tendency to focus on only those people that are in the channel. So they're trying to hobnob on people that are already in an opportunity of some kind, when there's a vast marketplace of people out there that are searching for an authentic mission. They're searching to make a difference in the world. They're searching for more than just some shiny object that they learned on social media. They want to be proud of how they make their money. And there's millions and millions of people that are out there looking for that are fed up with the hype that's in the gig economy type of stuff right now. They're looking for my authentic mission. They're looking for your authentic mission. Those are the people we should be out searching, not people within the space itself. And I'm not sure why I got on that tangent, but I just think it's really, really important that we help each other as colleagues to protect the integrity of our downlines in our organizations. I think it's really important.
I agree. I think what's good for one of us is good for all of us, and unfortunately, the reverse is true as well. In so many ways, we're more connected than we realize. I want to end with a leadership question. So, as the leader of a successful direct selling company, one of your tasks is to look out long term and create the strategic plan. I'm curious how this idea of promptings and leaving room for promptings in your leadership style, how that impacts how you lead and work day to day.
Well, to me, it's how I do everything. It's become such a central part of who I am as a person that it's only natural for me. Those are my fundamental principles. My fundamental principles are to rely on my own promptings to guide me in my life. Now, part of those promptings may guide me to a mentor, and I can learn from the mentor, and I could probably be directed by the mentor, but my promptings guided me to that mentor. And there comes a time when you use mentors to help you with things you may or may not know. But ultimately the best mentor you will ever have in your life is you. You are your best mentor. You are the ultimate guru. And I try to live by that, and I also try to teach it. What I want my following to know is I just teach principles. You take them with your own personality and your own promptings, and you guide your own life. I don't know what's best for you. I can teach you principles that will help guide you to what's best for you, but you're going to be guided to what's best for you. And I have to stay true to that mission. That keeps me humble too. My leadership style is teach correct principles and allow people to govern themselves. And I really try to stick with that within the affiliate place, within my employees here. I try really hard to do that.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. Kody, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for continuing to be a great example in the channel and for your company as well. And thank you for sharing this idea about promptings. It's something that I know I'm going to continue to think about and work to incorporate more in my daily life. And I am very excited to hear more about this and how you can brand around your mission at DSU next month. Look forward to seeing you in person. Thank you so much, Kody.
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate all that you're doing. You do a great job. I do a podcast too, and I take notes from yours. So appreciate you.
Appreciate it. I feel very lucky to be able to do it. So thank you so much, Kody. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in. We invite you to subscribe so that you're the first to know when new episodes are available. And a reminder to register today at dsu2023.com to join your peers in person for what is going to be the biggest and best DSU yet, plus the 14th annual DSN Global Celebration event starting April 18th through April 20th, 2023 in Frisco, Texas. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.